right. Do. Let's see, just getting some things ready here. Get ready to say hello to everybody in a second. How's my volume? Hello, hello. That looks good. All right. If you're in here in the chat, please say hi so I know you're here. Not talking to an empty room. Let's see, just getting some things ready here. Ready to say hello to everybody in a second. How's my volume? All right. My chat, I have a computer sitting over here on my chat window, and it had the volume turned on, so that's not going to be helpful at all. All right. Well, hello. Welcome to my studio again. We're here on Tuesday, but we were over on my art desk over there. Today we're going to do this digitally on the computer because it makes a little more sense to just kind of draw directly on here, since I'm just going to be putting it directly into a screen. So I could draw it by hand and then scan it and do all that stuff, but you know, it's a little more fun, I kind of find, to draw with the computer, and I have all this stuff ready. So without further ado, we're going to open Photoshop here. So let me bring that up, and there you go. There's my little window sitting up here in the corner. Say hello, everybody. Hello, hello. All right. So I'll start with, we'll go very, very, very back to basics, and I'll just kind of build this real quick. Let's see. So we are doing, again, we're going to be doing a background for the Fiasco game we're playing this week. So I like to create a new one for each individual project. So let's see what we have here. We are going to have a HD screen that's going to be the background. So it'll be 1920 by 1080, 72 dots per inch, which is pretty much HD standard. It seems to be what I build everything to. Makes life very simple. So that's that. We are going to create that. So we have our document here. Now, first thing I like to do is I like to do a quick save as for our document. I'm going to put it right on my desktop. And we're going to call this Fiasco Comic, because the Fiasco set we are doing is the Heroes of Crescent City. So what I've decided to do is kind of make the background look like a city, and I'm going to try and do it in a cell shaded style. Say that 3 times real quick. So we can kind of play with that a little bit, and that'll serve as the backdrop. If you were here last week, you saw I did like a zoo pattern, which was just a basic pattern. Wasn't exactly doing artistic. That was more, I would argue, that was graphic design. Well, today we're going to go the opposite, because we already did all that hard work last time and built the badges and all the personal stuff. Today I'm going to actually build a piece of art that will become the backdrop. So let's just let's look around at some references here. So there's a Comic City background, and I already have an idea of what I want my city to look like and what I'm thinking. But what I'd like to do is get a color palette, perhaps, that will be good. So just kind of thinking what I think that should look like. Last week we had a very bright gold pattern. So this week I think we're going to do, let's stick to the cover of it was reds and bright reds and, you know, very, very bold colors. So we are going to do that. Now, I don't have my browser up, just because God only knows what happens sometimes when you search. So I'm doing this in another program, but all you're seeing is Photoshop. But we'll be right back. I am going to let's see, what is it? Color palette. So we're trying to find color palettes, and there are, let's see, the one I like is called Peloton, Peletton.com. This one's pretty cool. Let me see. This one's a little extreme for what we're trying to do, but it's a very good option. Helps you kind of do that. Colors.co is another one. Now this one is, I think, a little bit better. This one just kind of gives you like 5 colors, and they all tend to be together, and you can kind of filter them. So I'm going to filter them by red. Actually, let's filter them by primary, because really what we want is just a lot of primary colors here. So I just kind of pick that, and then like I'm just scanning through here, like what are some good primary colors to kind of find. No, I'm not really happy with these. The reds are just a little. I don't like it. I don't like a weird red. This one's good. All right. So what I can do is, well, let's go search reds. I like finding these color palette places are pretty cool because they really help kind of, establish a good kind of theme that colors are, their hue or their saturations are matched. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a quick screenshot. Then I'll come back into Photoshop here and I'll drop my screen. So this is the screen I was looking at. And you can kind of see here all these different color palettes that are good. So what one do we think is going to be really good for this? I kind of am digging this one, the Golden Gate Red. But the problem is that if this is our background, all those primary colors are going to be competing, and we're not really going to throw a lot of color into our background. We want our color to be very kind of bold but muted at the same time. So what I'm going to go with is this dark red up here in the top corner. So I'm going to cut this out. Do that. Take an X. Let's see. And then we'll do a new layer. Control Shift N, and we will drop our new. So this will be good for our background once we get there. But we're not. This is kind of the research stage and what I kind of want it to look like. So this is going to be a little loose, but this is going to be our color palette. Now the front will be grays. All the city we're going to draw will be grays. So that's going to be that. Now let's put another layer here, because this is going to be the layer we're going to draw on actually. So we need that layer. So let's see. Let's see if I can get this perfectly zoomed. I like that. There we go. All right, so time to start thinking about our drawing. So we have our color palette. We have kind of my theory. So I'll give you a quick sketch here. So if our horizon line is up here, say, our city is going to kind of come down like this. We'll kind of have we're going to use some 3-point perspective to kind of build our buildings going up the side here. All right, and then maybe we'll do our streets. All right, very, very, very rough sketches here. Maybe we'll put some crosswalks in, we'll see. But I kind of like this idea that, it kind of looks like a city corner, kind of busy, so we'll have to have sidewalks. How big we want to make it is a big key. Is it going to be looking like this size? Or do we want to have it, looking like this is the building and this is the street? The street's really small and narrow, which I kind of actually, now that we're sitting here talking about it, I think that's kind of what we're going to go for. We want to draw the buildings up, which means the street will be nice and small. All right. So that's a rough idea. Now, I said we're going to be doing this in 3-point perspective. So we're going to set up our grid. Now, the first thing we need to do is kind of pick our horizon line. Where do we want that to be? Now, in our demo here, notice that horizon line is very high. It's all the way up here. Now, I did that on purpose because that's going to help push the base of the building down and exaggerate the height a lot, which is pretty cool. So that's where we want our horizon line to be. And then notice here that all these buildings are kind of going to be vanishing to a point that's down here off the page actually. So we need to kind of deal with that as well. 3-point perspective by hand is tough. There's a lot of lines. Every line has to connect with a distinct vanishing point, but the computer gives us a tool and it makes it a little easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to select a red. All right, I want a nice red color. Let's clear that layer and get that out of here. We're going to go down here to make a shape. All right. Now, if you look up top, it says make shape, fill, stroke. We're gonna flip that, so we'll make the stroke red. All right, we're gonna make the fill empty because I just want lines. I don't want it to be filled in. How thin it is? Let's make it pretty thin. Let's make it only 2 pixels thin. Actually, let's make it 1. All right. Now over here, see this sides? Now, the max you can put here is 100. If you want to draw a star or if you want to draw hexagons, like if you want to draw a hex, you can just put a 6 and it will actually draw hexagons for you. All right, like see here, like boom, nice little red hexagon, okay? Very cool. For us train gamers, we love that. All right, now the max we can put in here is 100, so let's put in 100 and you'll see why in a second. Then we're going to go down here to the little gear icon. This gives us these options here. And again, we can kind of play with it, the path, the color. Now, we're going to select star and we're going to indent the sides 99%. That means of 100 pixels in length, 99 pixels will be a return for the star. The smaller the number, that wider the center of the star, the radius becomes. So it kind of, if you want a normal star, if I put this at like say 20 and I put our size here at 5, boom, you get a little chubby star like, you know, say Scythe or something. However, we're trying to do something different. So let's do this. We're going to go back up to 99 because that's the most we can do. All right. Now watch what happens. We're going to go up and we're going to find that point that's roughly 2/3. We're going to use that rule of thirds again here. And we're going to draw, boom, we're going to draw this out and across. And I'm holding the shift key to keep that one center line completely straight across. All right. Now, how's that? Pretty cool, huh? All right, so now if I hit Control J, I make a copy of that layer and I'm going to drag that all the way across here to the left holding shift, which means it stays perfectly in line with it. And we're going to drop that right there. I just want to see that edge. That's fine. I can see the circle right smack in the middle. Happy with that. Can you see the grid? This is already happening. You know, if I was doing 2-point perspective, all right, I have my, let's see, I have my horizon line here. All right, see it's running back there. Why are you? All right, see it's running back here. All right, and then we got these lines that kind of look here like that city grid we drew. Okay, so pretty cool. All right, now here's the trick. For 3-point, I need a 1/3. So I'm gonna grab. We're gonna Control J, make another copy. Now we're gonna drag this guy here to the center. If you have smart guides turned on, he should find himself in the center pretty easily. If not, we click up here, change this to canvas. Remember this from last time. Hit that center button. There you go. And he will come right to the center. All right. So let's zoom out because I want this a little off. See here? This is controlling how deep our perspective is going. All right, so the farther down I go, the more exaggerated it's going to get. So I want it really pretty low, like say about there. Now, if I were doing this by hand, I would have to do this with like rulers, or there's YouTube videos with guys with string being all kind of crazy with it. That gets a little out of hand. All right, not really my thing. I'm happy to use technology to my advantage. All right, so there is our happy grid. Now let's take those. We're going to put them in a layer, just like that. We're going to call this our grid. All right. Now if I select this layer, turn my opacity, here we go. See, those kind of fade away. I mean, they're going to not be in our final drawing, but they're going to help us guide and plan. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this little lock icon and lock it. So what that means now is no matter how hard I try, I can't select those layers, meaning they'll just stay in the background. Cool. All right, well, enough of that. This is setup. So now let's get to drawing. So I have a choice. I can sketch. If I want to do a quick sketch and see what I'm doing, I could just, kind of do that, do it on a layer. Let's say, for instance, draw a horizon. Draw a horizon across the back. Let's draw our streets, or maybe our street is going to be from here to here. Boink. All right, and then this one kind of goes a little hard angle here. Let me drop my monitor a little bit. All right, we're going to take this guy and go all the way out. All right, so I also can turn it if I need to. This is one of the nice things about Photoshop. All right, so maybe there's our intersection. Boom. All right. So there we go. That's roughly, we don't need to go crazy with it, but let's yank the opacity way down on that. I think that's just helpful to kind of see what's going on, right? Like, okay, these are going to be our streets. These are going to be our decisions. We're good with that. So I have some cool brushes that I've found over the years. This one is a 14-point brush, which means it's 14 pixels across. And with drawing something that is, 72 dots per inch, it gets pretty thick. If you're doing something with print, it's very, very, very thin. So it depends what you're drawing. But let's start with our first building here. So we're going to create a new layer because we don't want to draw on that blue layer. And we can kind of see here, let's see, I kind of like the idea of I'm not happy with the bottom grid placement. So let's unlock that. And that was this one. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to shimmy it. There we go. I'm a little happier with that. That way now our third point is going to be directly on our building. All right, good. All right, so back to here. So we're going to call this layer 1. That was our sketch, just to give us our idea. Oh. All right, then we got layer 2 here, which is this is going to be our main layer, and we're going to actually we're going to start by selecting our brush. We're just going to start inking right away. Now this guy we're going to make his base kind of strong. Wow, that's a big thick line, isn't it? Oh, that's because I grabbed the 10. All right, now I could constrain my lines here and draw them nice and straight, but the problem is if I do that, it's going to look like that, and it's not going to give me that hand-drawn look I want. All right, your eye notices when things are a little too perfect. See, I went by my sketch, not the actual. There we go. Let's try that again. All right, so what basically we're doing here each time is every line is tracing back to a vantage point. Okay, so if I were to say draw this, it would come back to here, and this would come back to here. All right, this line here even is going straight down. All right, so the other way to do this is I could click and then shift click, and sometimes this is a little easier. Still gives you a hand-drawn look, right? Kind of allows us to do this a little quicker. Not digging our grid seems off. Why is that? Sorry. But what we're going to do here, they are lined up. I did this earlier just to make sure things lined up and were copacetic, and they were. But now, let's just make sure. So one of the things that happens is when you do these grids, they're very helpful, but sometimes we got to get them lined up. All right, so 1 second, let me get this. There we go. Now we're lined up on the building we want to do. All right, let's get rid of our sketch. Let's start over. Yeah, see that? That's our burst from down below. I guess I can't talk and do two things at once all the time. All right, see, we're not perfect. We're not perfect. It's all right. So let's grab our 6 brush and let's start again. So we're going to go here. To be honest with you, I usually do this by hand. This is actually going to be, let's do it drawing style. Now, as we start to go up, what you're going to notice here is, you know, our points are going to start to actually kind of morph as our view is straight on the building. So we're looking down and then we look up. So as we cross the horizon line here, let's make a thinner section here. Okay, notice how that kind of does this weird effect there, huh? It's pretty cool. If you want to check out something really funky, check out what's called 5-point perspective. That is just insane. So let's just kind of put a dome on top here. So let's just come across. All right. The other thing about working digitally is that I can turn around and I can fill all of these very, very easily at the end. All right, so we're just going to kind of fill our boxes here. And I'm just keeping them in line with the lines going out to here. So like if I were to take this line here out to our center point, see how it goes. All right, everything's tracing back to a center point. Just remember that. Now, if we wanted, let's see what happens if we make our base a little bigger. Let's say this is like a huge bottom of a building like this, see? Like that, and then you could like literally just bring it down. Like that would be huge, right? Not what we want for our city, but Control Z back out of that. But you can kind of see how you can have some fun with it. But what we will do is let's make something that is a little wider. Just one more quick little layer. Like if you've ever been to the Empire State Building or something, they just kind of have that almost plinth layer just down at the bottom. We'll kind of do a short, big. All right. So this line, remember, needs to follow down to our base point. So now we're kind of starting to get to that point where we're working without a net, which is fine, but I like to start with it. Absolutely start with the net. That way you kind of can see what's going where. All right. So maybe there's a building next to this guy. So let's start him. But maybe he's just kind of a big tall building and he's kind of square. So he's going to be a stubby building. All right. So let's go here. That actually is probably closer to there. So all I'm doing is I'm clicking and then shift clicking, and it draws a straight line between everything, which is very cool and very simple. All right, let's make this building be a little thinner. You can kind of see here that this line is actually going to come down just like that. All right. And then this line here, there's got to be a little line. And you want to draw those because if we get in tight here, okay, if you have any of the littlest gaps in your drawing, if we go to fill it, it's gonna go away. All right, and then let's look up here real quick. I don't like this. All right. All right. So now let's grab, like, say, a pink bucket. I hit G to grab that, and then I drop it in there. See how it fills that layer, right? So we want to make sure we do that. That way we can kind of fill the whole side, say, of a building, because maybe it's in shadow. Gives it a very comic-y kind of look. All right, and then we can go into our colors. Let's see. Let's grab our color. We can kind of back it off and get a lighter gray and kind of fill in these little. See, we could refill it in with the lighter gray, but it's going to fill the whole line now. So let's back that out, because I could shade now, but I want to shade later. All right. So let's see our street. I think it's time to put our street in. So let's see. We're going to follow it out to here. Boom. I like that. Now let's make it a pretty small street. Like it's going to be pretty tight. We're going to go here, and then we're going to go out to here. Boom, drop it in. And we're going to come back out. Come back out to there. All right, now just like this street here, we can grab this. It's okay if it's not perfect, because it might get covered by a building at some point anyway, but that's fine. And again, the way I'm kind of working here is it's a little destructive, okay? So it just means that I'm drawing straight on the layer I'm working on. See, if I turn off that layer, it's all here. So, but you know, I think that's kind of what this style is. And I'm trying to be more true to, say, if I were using an actual pen and ink, what my life would be like. All right. So that's pretty cool. What I'm going to do is switch my brush over to a white, and we're going to make it a little smaller. Right now it's at a 6. We're going to back that down. So I can use my left bracket. You see here, and it kind of makes it smaller. So 2 is about it. So we're going to go boom, 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 boom. And we're going to follow those lines again. And we're just going to kind of put some crosswalks in here. All right. You know, got to give the Boy Scouts something to do. And just we're these lines here are kind of going with the lay of the land. And you can see this is kind of jaggy. Well, that's because we're doing it on pretty zoomed in. It's 300%. So your eye is seeing all of that. And also when you use this paint bucket, it's filling it. It's not doing what we call anti-aliasing because it's hitting the lines and it's running over. If I were to use a brush and do that, it would probably be a lot better. But, you know, I'm just kind of trying to get through this quickly and make it a little more like it would be with pen and ink, which is, you know, hard edges, not soft. Now if I zoom out, see there, that's 100%, right? So now we have that. So let's go out to 60. 60 is my happy number, fortunately. Ooh, there we go. So let's see, we have our roads, we have all that. All right, now let's go to the background. And what we're going to do is we're going to take an AM, which is to draw a marquee. We're going to come across the back here. And we are going to control G, and we're going to fill that. Now I know it looks black right now, and that's fine. See, we're going to fill that. But what I want to do is I want to create what's going to be my mask. It's just a little easier for me to do right now. So let me grab my palette, and we're going to kind of make this gradient in the background here, right? So we have this. Now let's go to our G, and we're going to hold this, and we're going to select our gradient tool. And what I want to do is I kind of want to create a flare. So I could do ribs, but I'm going to do a vertical one. So if we go here and we select our gradient, so in this little window here is going to be how we control it. So let's double click on the one we currently have. Yeah, I don't like these. So let's see, reds. Ooh, very pink, very pink. That's pretty cool, but that's not what we want. We want to use our colors. So we're going to grab our properties, just seeing if they had something that might be helpful. All right, so double click on the gradient. Now we have these little stops down here. If I double tap one, the color picker comes up, so it gives us that option. Oh, in my haste, let's get rid of that. All right, now let's try that again. We're going to double click that. Double click that. Now I have all these reds down here, so my little bullseye is telling me I can select that color. All right, and then we'll select our mid-tone. I want our mid-tone to be the lighter color. And then we're going to select the end. Let's make that the darker one. Now the other thing is, let's add one. We're going to make that even darker. So this is kind of going to be this kind of swooshy gradient. All right. Now, if I want the gradient to be able to butt up against each other, I would want the same colors on the ends, but that's okay. So I think I'm good with that. So we're going to take that. We're going to make a new layer, hide that, and then we're going to control shift, hold, and fill. You can kind of see our layer here. All right, then if I control click that layer and mask that, turn it off, you can kind of see how now it's giving us that kind of look, which is cool and all, but it's not really what I want. So what I think I'm going to do instead is I think we're going to create a lot of wedges, and we're going to create like a starburst. So the easiest way to do that is let's hide everything real quick. We're going to create a layer, turn on our colors. Now I'm going to just basically take the regular fill, and I'm going to select that by holding Alt and then fill that guy. All right, and then we're going to drag that Copy V, drag it down. All right. And then we're going to G, fill it with that. And then V. Now if you Alt, Shift, Hold, you can drag down and it'll copy as well, which is kind of cool. All right, so let's get our, put that color in there. All right, I'm just basically Alt clicking, dragging, shifting, and pasting, which is making all this happen. All right, I kind of want another light color in there, and then we're going to end with this red. All right. But the problem is that red is it's right there, so it's going to be very close to each other, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So let's take a G. Let's fill it with a dark. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Let's leave it. Let's do another one. We're doing artwork, All right, now let's just tighten up those layers just by shifting them up and getting this nice thing. We're going to hide our color palette. We're going to select all these colored layers here. We're going to Control E, which swoops them all together into one layer. Now I can take that and I can do the whole thing by doing my Alt, Shift, click, and drag. All right, pretty cool, huh? All right, let's do one more. All right, then we're going to shift all that stuff up. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to E again. And then I'm going to Control T to transform. Now, Photoshop, the new version, if I just drag this, see how it scales perfectly, which is completely awesome. Love it. But you may not always want to do that, because right now I just want to stretch this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold Shift and drag that side and hold Shift and drag that, just so I fill the paper. All right, now we're going to go up to Filter. This is pretty cool. We are going to do Distort Polar Coordinates. All right. And then this will actually kind of bring it all around. But that's not what I want. I want it to kind of make a squish and array. So what I can do is, let's Control T. We can shift that. We're going to zoom out. And we're going to Control grab this corner and drag it into the middle. Control drag this corner. We're going to make them touch. Then we're going to Control drag, once we get this guy centered, Control drag that guy. And I'm holding Shift while I do this to keep it straight. All right. Sometimes the control just doesn't want to be controlled. All right. Need to zoom out even further. All right. So there we go. So that's kind of our pattern, and double click it. All right. Now we are going to put we're going to put that color behind it, and then we're going to Control E to squish it all together, right? Now, if I take and Control click our selection, and then we take our color palette here and we put our back on it. Pretty cool, huh? See how it just does that? Now, unclick this, and I can now drag either the mask or I can drag the item, just like that. See? If you want to make the wavelength box, that's how you do it. Now, the other cool thing, why I put the color behind it, let's put the mask on that, put that in there, put that in there. The color's behind it, so now if I take this and turn the opacity down, I can kind of get this kind of cool effect of, hey, we got some cool colors going on back here, but there's not that much. If you want to make them tighter, when we made those ribs, we would just make them thinner, and then when they stretched out, they would be lots more rays. So what would happen if we did that? Control Z all the way out. There we go. So let's take this and let's have some fun with this guy. All right. Every now and then my pen just stops working. I don't have a Wacom, which would, let's be honest, if I could afford the Wacom. So let's squish that, and then let's make copies of that one. All right, we're going to drag them down. We're going to E them together. Let's stretch them out. All right, and then let's rotate them, because really this is the final shape they're going to be in, right? Ooh, computer's starting to have to chug along. Well, I mean, it's putting this video out at the same time, right? All right, now let's transform this, and let's control drag these corners in. Then let's control drag these corners out. And if we play our cards right, we can get it to pretty much line up with our drawing so that it actually kind of looks like it's going up here a little bit. All right, we're good with that. Let's put the neutral color behind it that helps fill in any holes. Then we're going to control E, put those together, and then let's select that and make our mask again. Now we got this nice tighter pattern, right? But we can kind of chill it out if we want. I dig that. I like the look that that's given us. So that's back there. Where are we at on time? We're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. All right. I'm just going to hop here, check out the stream. See you in there. Let's see. Feel free to say hi, say what's going on. All right, so we got our little city here. And we're just going to get back to drawing now. All right, so I'm going to make a new layer for this one. Let's you can actually, pretty cool. Yeah, doesn't recognize my handwriting for squat, but all right. And then we're gonna put another set of buildings here. So let's turn our grid back on. Let's grab our brush. Let's go to town. All right. Maybe there's like a little low row of shops over here. So we'll just kind of just put them in. Little low roof here. Now they will have to be on the same level at some point. Otherwise, when I start to fill things, it might get a little funky. But we'll kind of jump off that bridge as we get to it. All right. Let's say that there is another big building over here. Ooh. Let's try that again. Let's say that there's another kind of skyscraper-esque building over here. So we'll start. All right. So center. perspective is fun. And I think it's one of those things that the first couple times you do it, it feels very awkward. But when you kind of get to nail it, oh, it's so much fun. And you can really start to play with it and see where you go. I really dig that. I have a lot of fun trying to make unique perspectives. All right, so like this is going to be this kind of building, just kind of stubby and flat. All right, maybe there's a little like elevator shack up here. All right, so we're gonna kind of put that in the back. Not happy with that at all. I have the ability to zoom in. I should totally do it. My favorite command is Control Z. Let me tell you. All right, we got that. Maybe we got some little hoo-has just kind of sitting over there. This building we can see down into, so let's go over there. Maybe this has kind of a recessed roof. So it kind of does that, and then it has like that gravel kind of roof here. Perhaps. All right. Ooh. So I'll be honest with you, usually when I draw a city, I'm doing like 2-point. This is kind of new doing it 3, not gonna lie. So you noticed right there, when I drew that, I didn't pay attention to my down line, my 3rd point sitting down off the bottom. So now I did. And I feel much better about that. All right, there we go. So that's good. So every line in 3-point has to go somewhere. You're drawing a 3-dimensional object in 3-point perspective. So every single line has to go somewhere. All right, see, there's our background is going to be cool, especially once we start to fill in all our colors. Let's continue down here. So we got, let's see, we got street level. Let's make a kind of one of those thin kind of like tenement buildings, perhaps. You know, maybe this guy's a little on the thinner side, but he's deep. He's thin and deep. All right. Oh. So he kind of sits back there. All right. So if we were drawing people, they'd be like this big, right? They'd just be like little specks and dots. And maybe we will. We'll get there. We'll get there. All right. So let's see what's next. So we want another big building. It's going to be in the back here. I think we need one. So let's do that. So we're going to go stay on the lines to make life easier here for this guy, because this guy's going to be big. Goes up to the 3rd. So if you draw the grid, it just makes it so simple. All right, so let's think where we want the corner to be, right about there. He's going to go up to there. All right. You can kind of see how it's getting all kind of warped, huh? It's fun. But I mean, imagine if we're looking at this top building head on, and then how everything kind of falls back and away as we go. Kind of makes sense, right? How your eye sees things. Although that line right there is wrong. Sometimes we get, the grid can kind of get in the way. See how I brought this down? So we need to fix that. So this line here is wrong. That's cool. It's totally fine. Stuff happens. This almost should be flat. because this line and this line are the guides for it. All right, and then there's almost just a little top, just like that. See, just like that. And then, of course, behind here, we could put more shapes in and more buildings. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep going here. All right. Our starburst is waiting for us down there. The end is nigh. All right. There we go. So just watch your grid lines, man. That's all we got to do. We're going to have a nice flat building here that maybe, kind of more of a warehouse. Maybe it's a little bodega. Maybe he's got a little storefront. Now, I'm not going to go crazy detailing on all this stuff. We're just going to keep. All right. Maybe down here we just kind of have some big, low buildings. All right, just like that. Just think about it, just big, like, low, maybe it's a car park, right? Like, maybe we just kind of draw that in. That car park you just can never get into. It's right smack in the middle of the city. They say they have spots, but they lie. They lie. Boom. Just like that. All right. Oh, let's fix that line. So I just have an eraser that I just hit E, get my eraser, and get in there. You can control your eraser just like your brush. So if you hold Shift, it'll do shifty things. If you hold the bracket keys, it'll make it larger, like it gets smaller. All right. All right. And zoom is totally your friend, man. Zoom is what helps, you don't want to pixel peep, we like to say in photography, but you definitely want to be able to get in there, and just kind of see what's going on, because it makes a big difference, right? So we have all that. All right, so we got a car park. So we can kind of see our city here. Let's see how we're starting to get it. Now, maybe this is it. Maybe let's call this done. Let's do that. So we're gonna come across the back here, and we are going to draw in our horizon line. Grab there, and go straight across. Oh, let's try that again. Let's grab a slightly larger brush. All right, so that's across the back. Believe it or not, it's actually behind there. Then if we turn on our cities, our color explosion, you can kind of see that. Now, to make it kind of look comic booky, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the fatter 10 pixel brush, and I'm going to totally freehand it. And I'm just going to do the outsides of all the buildings. So all right. So just by just the outlines. Now, whether it's the building itself or whether it's, you're drawing a comic character, it's one of the hallmarks of cell shading. See, I said it again. Told you it's a pain to say. But we just want to define. Now you can go in and we can kind of bolster some of the details too. If we wanted to really make this building pop, I could totally go in there and do it to it too. All right. But I'm not using my shift draw technique here because I want it to be freehand. I want it to be a little looser. All right. And what I'm going to do is let's Well, I'll do that after I'm done, just so you can see what that looks like. Na, na, na. Tell you that R for rotate when you're doing on these screens is huge. All right. You can kind of see that. See how it kind of gives it a little pop. Now if I take this pen, and let's say I just do the floors of this building real quick. What it's really going to do is it's really going to make it pop as a feature. It's really going to make it stand out. I don't want to do those yet. See, just boom, boom. All right, and then you can kind of see here how it's just making that one building just kind of bam, and then the rest kind of fall back. And that's totally cool. Maybe that's what we want. So then we'll just take this bottom and we'll just kind of go down our street. Cool? Cool. All right, so now, if I want to start filling this, I have two options. I can just grab the paint bucket and I can just start filling. But see how sometimes it doesn't work right. All right, see, I think this one, oh, there we go. Sometimes it has a hole in it. Remember I said don't leave it with holes. All right, we don't want that. So we want to fill that in. Fill that. We're going to fill these. See how this got jagged? And that's kind of the drawback of filling that way. So let's rewind. See how if I zoom in here, you'll see what happens. The fill doesn't go all the way around. It goes up to the edge, and then it encounters the edge of your brush, which is a soft edge, and fill's trying to go up to a hard edge. Now, I could potentially change its mode and change its tolerance to be able to fill better, but it doesn't give me kind of the painterly effect that I want. So what we're going to do is we're going to put another layer, and we're just going to call this paint. All right, and then what I'm going to do is grab a nice paint brush like this guy here. He's a little big. All right, let's yeah, I like this square brush is good for this. All right, and then on this layer I'm going to paint. Let me change a color here. Let's use this red, and then as I fill it in, kind of see how what I'm literally doing is painting behind the actual artwork. See, the artwork's on top. The building artwork is right there. All right, so let's combine the building and the street, and now we have that. So if I just do that, boom, see it? So I could theoretically just go through here and maybe I like this dark red. Let's paint on the right layer, Chris. Maybe I like this dark red. This dark red's kind of cool. How does it look with our background? Kind of striking, right? But maybe that's not what you want. So you're like, oh, I don't know. Well, we can just delete that layer. We can come back. You could do a color overlay if you're doing very, very tight coloring. In my case, what we're going to do is we're going to take a very dark gray, very cool dark gray. We're going to come in here on our paint layer, paint, and we're going to paint that. This brush is a little big. It's getting outside the lines. I was one of those kids, I used to have to outline everything before I'd color it. Okay, and I'm okay if it's a little, it can be a little loosey. And then what we'll do is we'll start the dome here. And the dome is gonna, it's kind of, think about what's happening at that dome, right? We're gonna put a base color down. Then we're gonna grab just a little darker, kind of come down here. All right, a little darker, come over the side, darker, darker, come very close to the edge, and super dark right at the actual edge. All right, and then I can grab the eraser and clean that up. Boom, and get rid of that. All right, because I can just come back in here. Probably should have done that first, eh? All right, so then like maybe it gets a little lighter over here. Not that light. Just catches a little of the sun. All right, but then let's take this warm gray and we're just gonna put that on this side of the buildings. We're gonna give them dimensionality. Remember, shade gives dimensionality, so the better we can shade, the better off we'll be. All right. And when you're doing a cube, which is really what we're doing, we're just doing a bunch of cubes, then your shade is pretty straightforward. And if you ever forget what color you used, Alt-click, boom, just pick it up again. Bob Ross it, man. Just go, boom, go to town. Now, the other way I could do this is I could just click and fill, where I could grab I could just grab like a paint bucket and I can make an outline and just drop a fill in. That would totally be cool. But I like getting in the paint. All right, so this is going to be a little warmer gray. Let's pop some in right there. All right, and kind of see what's happening here. I want to lighten that up a little bit. Just try not to go too crazy with all of these hundreds of different shades of gray, because what it's going to do is it's going to create kind of a problem for you, because you're never going to know which gray you used where. So I don't want to do that. All right, and as you can see, now we're starting to block our background here, right? So let's go in. Let's go down the line here. Boom. We're just going to fill this. This is our color. So the other way I could fill this would be grab the L for the lasso. And if we hold click on it, you want what's called the polygonal. Doesn't mean it has multiple wives. That's something else. All right, we're going to grab this, come down. And just everywhere I click, it will draw a straight line, and then shift backspace and fill it. Boom. All right. So this is a simpler way, especially if you're trying to do different shapes. All right, so let's start here. Now, if you shift click, it will constrain it to a straight line, so you probably don't want to do that. It's just going to keep drawing around it. And if you need to move, just hold the space bar. All right, now let's go here. Hit the I for the eyedropper. And then shift backspace and fill it with that dark gray. Booyah. All right, deselect with Control D. We need to fill that in for our little booth up on top. All right, now you can do it either way. I mean, you can obviously see that way is a lot faster, right? And it depends what effect you're trying to get. You know, if you want something that's a little more painterly, then I might want the brush. Like here, like see, like what would be on top here? It's probably like asphalt and gravel and all that kind of stuff. So if I just have this cool brush, I can just kind of give it a little texture. All right, and then let's go in. And then let's give it that dark gray. All right, so we can do that. That's the cool thing about a brush, right? We can do that. Boom, 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 boom. Let's eyedrop that, and then let's shift backspace to fill it. Boom, boom. Wow, that almost looks like an Escher drawing down here, doesn't it? All right, so let's get in here. We're gonna take a black though. We're gonna fill the center here with the black, because that would be like really, really dark in there, right? You wouldn't be able to see squat. Probably might see a few cars or something. All right, let's put some dark color back there. Kind of see how my lines weren't perfect. That's fine. That's fine. All right, we're gonna grab that gray. Now the other cool thing about this pen is it's pressure sensitive, so the harder I push, the better, the more paint comes out of the brush, quote unquote. So push it on the screen. All right, and then let's get our dark gray over here and throw it in there. All right, let's try that again. All right, and then same thing, like what are we thinking this looks like up here? It looks like gravel and kind of stuff. So I'm just lightly pushing on this. I'm gonna add in some color to loosen that up. But it should be a little textured, right? It should be. Should be. All right. So I mean, we can do a lot more detail if we really wanted to go crazy with this, but we don't. So we're just gonna keep. Remember what I told you? Don't shift hold. Yeah. Listen to me. Do as I say, not as I do. Fill that. I tell you, the one of the best days I learned the shift backspace for fill was sped up my process so much. I don't care if it's not. Let's not move the whole layer, Chris. Let's not do that. All right. Boom. If you need to zoom in to do it, do it. Do it. Who cares? Who cares? Oh man, I tell you, I've really been enjoying these Fiasco games. Can I tell you that? It's just so cool to be able to play with people I love and know. I'm excited for the next one we're going to be doing. Trying to line up even more guests for the week after that. Super exciting stuff. We're actually going to change our brush down here. Alright, so we got like some edges. Just going to clean them up real quick. That's fine. That's fine. Like this guy here. Yeah, so I got like, I think I'm going to, celebrity would be a little, that'd be saying a little much and a little more than I mean. But it's, all right, so let's see. I need to get that color, and let's get the lasso, and let's get back to work. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, the next one. So we got a few people coming on. I got Leland coming from the Incorrigibles, and my friend John's going to join us, and I have the two pegs, Jeremy and Christina are going to join us. They've played Fiasco and like it in the past, so I think I'm excited. City of Heroes, they picked the. I give a few suggestions, and they picked the superhero theme, which I'm kind of excited. And of course, perennial favorite Pep is coming back, and man, he is so much fun, especially when we do these things. So, it's gonna be hard to ever say no to him. Let me tell you. But he's going to come back and spend some time with us, which I'm pretty excited about. All right. Let's see. We need something a little lighter for the roof, but we still need a gray. So we're going to go up here. I'm going to grab that guy. So he's going to be fun. And then I'm trying to work on next week, the week after that, the 22nd, because we're going to try and do this every Wednesday. And what I'm thinking is I might want to try to make a podcaster, like a board game. What do I want to say? I'm trying to say like a board gaming person. We're gonna make like at a convention or something. There'll be a fiasco involving them. So I need to write it, but I think it would be hysterical. Imagine you're running around a convention as board game personalities or podcaster or videographers or support staff or content creator. I don't know, whatever you want to call yourself. I think that would be hysterical. So I'm going to try and make that for sure. All right. So what do we think? Like there's kind of our city. We kind of got some, oh, look at that. We got a little funk going on. When I cleaned up, I didn't get all of it. Let's get that. All right. Then we need to make some sidewalks. Sidewalks are easy. We'll just grab a medium gray here. And we're just going to lasso the whole. Boom, boom, boom. And on the paint layer. Right? And then we'll just just check those alleyways. Boom, boom. The nice thing about painting underneath your cell shading is that it kind of goes away. Here's the other cool thing. If we combined the paint and our sketch and we hold them together, I can transform the whole thing in one shot. Look at that. Boom. So we didn't have to make a huge drawing. We can make a big drawing and then kind of put it in. Okay. Now, if you're going to do that, that's cool and all, but what you want to do is make sure you hold the Alt Shift or the Alt key, sorry, not Shift this time, as you do it, because we want to keep it roughly the same perspective, right? And what this allows me to do is it'll change everything from the center, so we can kind of do that. All right, and then maybe we want our background to come all the way down like that. Cool. All right, now the other thing we're going to do here is we're going to grab our lasso and we're going to kind of trace the outline. See how the background here is bleeding into our picture? Well, we don't want that. So I'm coming across here. We're going to select the black. So just hit D for default and then hit X, and X will bring your back to your front if you look down here in the lower left. And then shift backspace and fill it in. And what we did was we filled that in our mask so that way it's all hidden. All right. And then let's see. Kind of dig that, right? Oh, this looks awesome. But now I want to. I still want to make it even a little bigger. So we're gonna take it down. All right. There we go. What I'm not happy about is I'm not loving these edges over here. See this? I don't like that. So let's go in here. We're going to get a brush and we're going to quickly grab our 10. All right, and then we're going to grab that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make it look like there's just like one little more building out here going in. All right. And that'll just kind of help keep things together. All right. Let's come over here. We're going to do the same thing. And honestly, I mean, it's going to be mostly covered anyway, so it's not the end of the world. But there you go. I'm much happier with that. Now we could do, let's do another color just down here on the bottom, just to kind of fill it out. And then we're going to call this pretty much done. We could add a little texture if we wanted and things like that. Maybe I'll do that real quick. That's not too big of a deal. So let's grab my brush. Let's grab this really dark red here. Turn off our color palette. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to lasso this whole area. It's amazing how many YouTube paintery type people I see using like just doing lasso paint. You know, they'll just kind of just do. They'll just draw lasso boxes. And then when you make a shape, you just hold shift shift, and then it just will add to it. So if I wanted to say, like I like this kind of pattern back here. Let's find a red that's just a little lighter. And then if I hit shift backspace, boom, see how it gives me that nice cool texture back there? All right, but what I want to do is before I fill that, I'm going to put that on another layer. All right, because now if I copy that layer, so with Command J, go to Edit Transform, flip horizontally, and then move it, I can put it right over here. All right, we'll squish that out. Grab it. If you shift grab or control grab a control point, you can just move one. So it kind of helps warp it a little bit. All right. Now that color in the back, I don't know that I wanted that. Yeah, there we go. Take it. Oh man. I'm really liking this. I think this is pretty snazzy. Snazzy. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to merge all of our background colors together. We're going to merge our paint layer together. We're going to get rid of the other stuff because we don't need it anymore. We'll keep the color palette. The grid we don't necessarily need. But now, if we want to come in and just do some detail work, the easiest way to do this, so I like this color picker over here. But what we can do is, let's sample, for instance, this dark gray. So let's grab brush, sample that, and it can show you right here like how much black is in that color. So if you want something that's a little darker, the easiest thing to do is just grab your slider and just move it up. All right, and then that way, when I grab my brush, which I think a 10, that's going to be too much. That's way too big. I like the cube brush. I like the cube brush a lot, the 30, but the 30 is way too big for what I want to do. We're going to go on top, the very top layer. All right. Now if I grab the brush, I can just kind of just draw in these. You know, maybe they're floors. All right. Now, if you're doing this, don't forget to go the way of your directional lines. See, like these are too wide. I don't like these strokes. So we're going to cut this down to a 20 size brush. Yeah, that's better. That's better. All right. And what I like to do is kind of start working from the outside in. that helps you try and keep it. See how I'm kind of tipping. You be tipping. Yeah, I just did that. I don't know why. For the 1 or 2 viewers who are actually watching this, I'm sorry. It's all cool. But see how it just kind of gives a little extra to our buildings here. Just kind of. All right. And see, like maybe here. So we could do the same thing, right? We could do, oh, that's too light. It's probably going to be in shadow, right? So let's select it and we'll go a little darker. And we'll just kind of, but remember our building stripes here, we're up at 30. So we got to make our brush a little bigger. Now we'll do it again. Boom. Now we got 4, 3, then 4. Then maybe there's something down here, so we'll just put some little slashes. Grab that. Whoa, too big, stop. Just put some dots. All right, and then maybe this guy. Remember, as it's getting farther away too, you're getting less and less detail. So we can just, shrink our brush. But be careful you don't shrink too much because we don't want to go crazy, but perhaps this is just like rows of tiny windows. All right, and then maybe this has got a sign saying, hey, eat at Joe's, like right up here. All right. I mean, if you want to clean these edges up, like maybe, like for instance, let's do that with this guy just because, all right. So let's do a lasso. Then we'll come down here. And then if I fill that, look how that just cleans that edge right up. I'm just filling over it. All right, the other thing I could do is potentially block and mask it off so I wouldn't paint on it in the first place, which is totally cool too. But hey, we're just having fun drawing now. Now we're drawing above the color layer, not below it, so we do have to be careful here a little bit. Let's grab that. Now let's do that, my brush, let's make our brush, let's go a little bigger, 15. Let's do that building here. All right, then maybe down below, it's got verticals, right? Architects are funny that way. Booyah. All right, then let's get some really thin lines. It's got those like columns going up. So there we go. So we get a little bit of texture. We get a little bit of something. I really dig it. I dig it a lot. I think it's very cool. Let's want to kind of maybe brighten up our. There we go. So I just hit a curve real quick to just kind of pop that color layer, make it like jump out at you some. All right. And it kind of shows our city. We got all that. We got our hero. We got a sidewalk. We can put some cars in. Let's put some cars in. So we're not good. We're gonna stick black and white though. We're just gonna. What we're gonna do is we're gonna brush it. We're gonna go all the way up here, and we're just gonna. I'm just gonna put some little dashy lines in for the. Maybe there's a car turning. Cars coming this way. So the other thing I'm thinking of doing is real quick, we're going to knock out a street sign that we're going to put over top of this. And I'm going to do that because that's going to be what our dice bowl, if you saw the last episode, our dice bowl is going to go in there. So I'm going to make it look like a street sign. And I'm going to knock that out real quick because I dig it. This street's a lot less busy. All right, then we can just kind of put some people mulling around here on the sidewalk because they do. Maybe they're social distancing. Let's try and space them out a little bit. All right, if you're in New York, please be safe. I don't know where you are. Everywhere, be safe. A lot of shit going on. Cool, cool, right? Boom. I'm digging this. I'm digging this. All right. Awesome. So we have our color palette, which we've now changed, so we can get rid of that. We still have our grid. We don't need that anymore. So let's throw that out. Oh, let's unlock it. And then we can throw it out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these guys in one layer. Let's put the background in there too. And this will be the city. Because this way when I go to export this, I can export individual components. It's just going to make our lives easier. So let's talk about this city thing. So we're going to go over here, grab our shape. We're going to grab rounded rectangle. All right. Let's hide our city here. Let's do a new layer outside the city. And then let's hide everything but the white background. All right. So now let's try that again. If I look, let's see, I'll draw one. So I forgot this computer does that. For some reason, I screwed up one time and I made my things uneven. Now every time I go to make new corners, I always have one side that's way bigger, smaller than the other. So what we have over here on this panel's pretty awesome. We need to find a color of a like a traffic sign. Like I like that green directional, that works great. We do not need the red border. This is not Christmas time, so no border even necessary. What we can do is perhaps, yeah, I'm happy with that. So we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna Control J and make a copy. Control T, and then we're gonna hold Alt as we drag it in and shrink it. And we're just gonna bring it in a little bit. Then I'm gonna Alt Shift drag, because you see here, there we go. I want it equidistant around the side, and if I do that, it makes it equidistant. Now this rounded rectangle, however, is going to be, let's pull up its properties. It wants to have no fill, and it's going to have a white stroke. Okay. Then we're going to make that stroke probably about 8 pixels. See? Look at that. It looks like a traffic sign. Isn't that amazing? All right. Then we're going to add a layer. And what we want to do is I want to make kind of like a traffic-y arrow. So let's think about that. So a traffic-y arrow will be kind of long, but let's make the actual arrow itself. We're going to use the pen tool, and it's got rounded corners. This would be so much easier in Illustrator, but you know, I don't want to fuss too much. I could take it out and go into start up Illustrator. All right. So here is our illustration. There's our path. So let's grab the. So over here we have the pen tool. What I want is this convert anchor points, and we're going to drag that. All right, and then we drag that. All right. This guy, however, goes back because it's only going to be the half. And if you've seen like a traffic arrow, you kind of know how they go, right? They kind of have big roundy heads and things, which is what we're trying to create. All right, let's click on that, the direct selection tool. Let's drag that down. It's a soft arrow. All right, then if I default X to get white, we're going to fill that selection. All right, and then if you come back out, we're going to click anywhere. So now we have this kind of the head of the arrow, half of it anyway. So let's duplicate that with a J, and then we're going to edit, and you guessed it, we're going to flip that horizontally, and then move it to kind of come in contact. Control E to bring them together, and then I can shrink it down to how big I need it. All right, how do we think? What do we think? I think it's good. It's going to serve its purpose, right? So let's turn that. So the first time we play is going to be, let's see, clockwise. All right, now we need a curved line. So let's use the pen tool again. So I haven't shown off the pen tool a lot today. All right, now if I hold Shift, it'll put the next selection spot in a straight line, which is exactly what I want. What I'd like it to be is roughly this size up here. So let's put it up there. Then we're going to go down here. We're going to wrap this up. We're almost done, guys. And then we're going to doink, drag that out. This is a nice Bezier handle, just like that. All right. Now, remember when we did this rounded rectangle, that path was, come on. All right, well, it's hiding on me right at the moment. It's just being difficult. But that was about a 4-inch line. I want this to be 10. This is going to be a very thick line. So before I even go to the other tab, let's select my brush. Let's just get the normal brush here. If we come down here, these are all like the normal brushes. So what we'll do is we will just go up here, and we're just going to grab a normal brush, make its hardness 100, its size 15 is good. I think that's a good place to start. All right, and then we're going to make a new layer because the path needs a place to go. And then down here, if we select that work path again and hit our stroke work path button, oh, why are you being difficult? What did I forget to do? There we go. It reverted back to the other brush. So let's make our, and then actually it looks too thin. So let's start with a 15 and let's go up to a 25 pixel brush. There we go. That's our line. All right. So then that kind of shows like, oh wait, this is going that way. Let's combine them. Let's duplicate them. Control T to transform them. And then let's drag it over here. All right, and then we're going to take them both and we're going to select them and center them a bit. So then this way the dice pool will sit in the center on this. It looks like a sign, which I think is pretty cool. We're going to Control E, squish it all together. All right, and then before we do that, we're going to put our arrows together. So let's call this clockwise. All right, let's put our rectangles together. We got to rasterize them. Rasterize, Control E. And then we're going to take this clockwise, we're going to duplicate that, and we're going to call this anti-clockwise. And then we are going to transform. We're going to flip vertically this time. And then if we close that, now you can see the arrows go the other way. So now let's duplicate that because I want these to be separate images because now we have the anti-clockwise, we'll put that in a group, and then we'll have the clockwise, we'll put that in a group. All right, so now the cool thing is if I turn on the city, it's in the background. Let's take our two groups and let's transform them to be how big we want them. So we want them to be not overly big. And put them in scale here. I kind of feel the need. I think we need some type. So let's get a new layer. All right. So this is this place that's called Crescent City Heroes. So let's all right. So our text box is huge. So let's select our text. Let's bring up our text guy here. 25. Let's try 72 points. What, like that? That works. All right. Boom. So I think what we need to do is, I think we can, let's put a little bit of a drop shadow. This time, let's do, so what we're going to do is we are going to just do it 90 degrees so it's kind of going down and out. We're going to push it out a little bit, firm it up. That way, think about it, the sun we kind of have coming from the right side, so we'll kind of point it that direction. Let's crank up the opacity. I want it to be pretty obvious what's happening. Cool, cool. Right click, copy effects, copy layer style, I should say. Go into here, go to rounded rectangle, paste layer style. Boom. So now both are clockwise, which is Act 1, and are anti-clockwise, which is Act 2. We need to put the Crescent City in with each one. So we are going to copy paste. So now everything is in there. All right, now why do we put everything in little groups like that? I'll tell you why. Because what we get to do next is, let's go over to File, Export. So what we want to do is we want to set our export, oops, sorry. You could do it that way, but what I want to do is select my export preferences. Because there's transparency, PNG, we're going to select that. And then if I right click, export as PNG, and then you can see here, let's make a new folder. Let's call this Fiasco Crescent this time. Open it up and then save. And then because our layer name is that written out and correct, you can see here that when it saves, it used the layer name to actually do the save, which is kind of awesome. Now the city in the background, what I'm going to do is I can do export as, and then this way perhaps I don't care about transparency. It's a little smaller on the file size. I'm going to save that as a JPEG. All right, and then now it needs to know where to go, so we'll go back to the desktop, put it in Crescent. Let's City BG, save, and done. That's it. We are done. I'm at an hour and a half. So I am going to call it a day. I think that this is pretty good. I'm not sure about these two graphics. They might be a little big for what we have, but I'll play with that before I put it up. And then the only thing left is I'm going to make the thumbnail real quick, and then that's it. We'll have some fun and we'll be ready for it. So thanks for watching. If you watch this after the fact, shoot me a text. Let me know if you liked it, if you even care. But I had to do it, so I thought I'd turn on the camera and do it with y'all. So let me hop out here. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Do all those cool things if you want to catch these again. And let's let's be safe out there. Let's have fun. And I'll see you Tuesday. Tuesday, we're going to be doing some stuff. I think I want to make a t-shirt Tuesday. So we'll spend some time in Illustrator. So have a good night. Have some fun. We'll see you.